turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the
And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session, here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, podcaster, or content creator of any kind, make sure you hit us up at aoastudios.org to book your session or service today. We offer a plethora of services, including mixing and mastering, audio recording, podcasting, videography, photography. The list kind of goes on. And I'm joined today by a very special guest. He is an artist from the Boston area, originally from Texas. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
now has been residing up in the Boston area for last decade and a half or so, maybe roughly a little less. None other than Dom Dior joining the show.
What's good, everybody? Appreciate you having me, sir. For real.
Pleasure to have you. So we met really in a cool, organic way, which was, I thought, it was my favorite way to meet people in the scene. DMs are cool. Like, if you want to be on the show or, got a bit of a wait list, truthfully, but if you want to, you want to work or whatever, DMs are always fine, or emails, right? Just be a little professional about it. But I always love meeting people in person. I feel like that you just get the person's energy right away. And we met at Friend Street, which unfortunately just recently closed up and finished up.
Rest in power.
Rest in power, absolutely. But it was like a cool networking experience, and shout out to Artie and Sasa and everybody that was doing great things at Friend Street.
Hell yeah.
Met you there, and I feel like we really hit it off. So, and then you had this, this new body of work, which we'll talk about pretty soon, a new EP that just dropped, and it just, timing's right. Just felt it was good to have you on. It was good energy, and so I'm happy to have you, man.
No, absolutely. I tend to think of myself as a pretty good judge of character.
Yeah, likewise.
And appreciate you. Yeah, for sure. Definitely, we'll recognize. And yeah, I'm always. DMs are cool. Emails are cool. Meeting in person is nothing like that. Like getting introduced, getting the ball rolling as soon as you like make face contact with that person is like, it's nothing like that. Because then you really see. It's easy to fake the funk in DMs. It's easy to seem a lot cooler than you are.
Yeah.
Sound a lot cooler. But it's also a lot easier to fuck up too and say the wrong thing, because like it's a lot easier to correct yourself in the person. But
Right. No, I feel like we really hit it off, and we were having a good conversation. And I was like, yeah, we got to translate this to a podcast. So lots to talk about with you, man. You're doing amazing things. I love what you stand for in a lot of different areas, and it's just you as a person. You seem like quite a light, and I appreciated, like I said, meeting you and then seeing you around the scene since. But so this is the main. This is the objective, and that's the first segment of the show where we get to know a little bit about you and your background. So I want to bring it back, obviously, to you moving to Massachusetts when you were around like 10 or 11. Is that correct?
yeah, right just before I turned 10.
Gotcha. And you were living in Texas at the time, and you moved out here, and you grew up from there. You grew up in Wellesley, correct?
Yeah. So I had an interesting journey. So I grew up in Texas, but when I was 3, I moved to San Diego, California.
Oh wow, okay.
Because my mother went to UCSD to finish her schooling. And then when I was like just before I turned 10, my mother graduated, got a job at Wellesley College. So we packed everything up. We had 3 cats. It was me and my sister. We all got in the car, zoomed all the way up here.
Wow.
Borderline of a nightmare, to be honest. Oh my God.
Just driving cross country with 2 young children, pets, like your whole life, and it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to move down the street, let alone
exactly.
across the country.
And I will say we had. I say I still grew up in Texas because every long weekend, every school vacation, every summer vacation, hopped in the car, 9-hour drive from San Diego to El Paso.
Gotcha.
El Paso was where I'm from and stuff. So like
Amazing.
That was being in a car was very, very easy for me at a young age. But that drive was still, because we like dead ass. There's no plane rides. No, we hopped in the car from San Diego all the way up to Wellesley.
It's insane, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because you just took quite the train ride to get over here, and so now that I'm hearing this context, like you're just good with transportation at this point. Like it's just you're used to it. It's one of those things where
I'm good with moving.
You're good. I love that. I love that. So talk to me a little bit about that, like that transition, right? For you being, you growing up, like you being, very comfortable in Texas and in San Diego, and then coming to the East Coast where, again, you were younger, but never really having a lot of experience with the East Coast. Like talk to me a little bit about what that transition was like. I know you said it was like a long, obviously a long journey, but if you can give me any sort of context or details, I would love that. And then I know you started creating music when you were around 13 or 14. So, and we had a conversation actually at Friend Street off air, and I think we both agreed, like, where we grew up, you Wellesley, me Danvers. It's not that we didn't meet great people in those towns, but I think we both have agreed, like, we don't feel like we ever truly fit in there. And so I'm wondering for you, like, was the music side, getting into it at that point, kind of like a good outlet for you? So kind of take me through like that journey from being like around 10, moving up here, and then till right around the time you started making music. I'm curious to, like, if you can kind of give me paint that picture for me.
Absolutely not. Like, being, obviously when I was a kid, it was a lot harder because like you're getting uprooted every few years. Even when I made it to Wellesley, it was only for like a handful of years, and then I moved directly into Boston. Like I live right in like the middle of Boston now. I'm not gonna say specifically where.
Yeah, that's all right.
But yeah, I spent a lot of time in Boston, and aside from like all like me growing up in Wellesley, you know what it's like, bro. Like when I first got here, I was the new kid. I was the chubby kid. I was the kid with long hair. I was the kid with glasses, and I was the Mexican kid. So like I had a lot, and like feature like big lips, big nose, bit like wide ears, certain things that I can't like hide.
Especially it being in a place like Wellesley, which I mean, I only know a handful of people from Wellesley, and I don't want to like stereotype the whole town, but it's predominantly white. It's a little bit more. It's more suburban, right? It's just it's a little bit different than.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up in Texas, I grew up in the Northeast side with my mom, my tia. My tia grew up directly across the street from. Lived across the street from my abuelo. Those two houses they had for like ever since they came from Mexico to the U.S. Because my mom moved from Mexico when she was a kid, and they stayed in the same two houses the whole time. But like I started like writing and messing around with stuff when I was like 11, 12. And then right when I was 12, my cousins on my father's side, I went over to theirs, and they were just rapping, and like I had been listening to a few of their mixtapes, and they were doing things that like I was a little confused. I was like so fascinated by it because they were making remixes of songs that I'd already heard. So they were doing remixes to like Lil Wayne and Birdman, like a bunch of different like songs I was growing up on. And to me, it was always like, damn, like that's so crazy. Like you could do that. And then on top of that, like rap is so cool, bro. Like you can say anything, and if like you're good at it and it's natural, you could say the dumbest shit ever and have it make it sound like it was like Aristotle or something, dude. Like it's so cool. And when I was watching my cousins do that, like the things they were saying weren't necessarily the greatest things, but the way they said it like made me buy into it. So when I first started with music, was a rap that they wrote for me that I had no business talking about. You know, it was like, it's like I talked about this on I forget who I talked about this with too, but it was just like, yeah, I was talking about like weed, drinking. I was like smoke by the pound, drink by the ounce, doing shows, getting money. 12 years old.
You're like 12 years old.
No, I was like
no concept of any of this.
Nothing of any. Yeah, exactly. But then, but because I had such a frequent like interaction from San Diego to Texas, like I was around so much diversity, so many people, but it was like a specific type of diversity. So I was around like a lot, like especially in Texas, it was like specifically Black Americans, Black Southern Americans. When it came to Latinos, it was almost exclusively Mexicans. And you had like white Southerners, you had a bunch of Asian folks too, but predominantly it was Black Southerners and Mexicans I was around. And then when I went to San Diego, it was even more diverse, but still similar demographics. It was almost exclusively Mexicans when it came to Latinos.
Well, it's just so close to the border.
Exactly.
There, especially.
Exactly.
It's literally right there. So.
El Paso was literally a border town with Juarez.
Right,
like,
right.
There's an invisible border there's an invisible fence half the time.
Sure.
And then San Diego is Tijuana, California, right there.
It's right there.
Exactly.
Right. So they're both right there. Yeah.
Exactly. So it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always been around people who looked like me, but also didn't look like me, who sounded like me, but also didn't sound like me. So that like really established, I'm like, yo, like, I understand people in a way that I don't think a lot of other people would if they weren't like headfirst in these diverse environments. However, when I moved up here, the diversity almost exploded in like a different sense because it was same, I guess, like racial groups, but it was like with like Black folks, it was Haitians. I could name a million different black ethnic groups centralized in Boston.
Absolutely.
Same thing with like Latinos. It was, you got South, like predominantly Puerto Ricans, Dominicans. You got Salvadorians, Guatemalans.
Yeah.
A
lot of huge Brazilian population as well.
Brazilian, Portuguese.
Yep.
Cape Verdeans, fucking. And even with like white people, you have like a lot of strong white ethnic groups. You got Irish folks, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, Polish Americans. Like it's a lot, obviously, because like Boston's a port city. Like it's so much more immigrants coming in. And Boston is an immigrant city since its inception.
Of course.
So seeing that also really opened my eyes to like, yo, there's so many new perspectives that like are passing me by at a like million miles per hour.
Yeah.
So it just really encouraged me to always keep my eyes open and my ears engaged, because there's just so much I could learn from. Like every time I like speak about some shit that I went through with folks, a lot of it has to do with like they pick up on the perspective, and it's like, oh, I'm seeing it from a new angle now, and it's simply because like I grew up in different environments. Like I'm able to see a lot of nuances that get lost in people who didn't have the privilege of doing that.
Sure. No, that makes total sense, and I think your outlook on that is really, I think, awesome, because you're right. Like you could see yourself being at that age, you could see yourself as like, oh, this is not, quite what I remember it being in Texas and in California, specifically El Paso and San Diego, and like taking almost a pessimistic view about it. Instead, you were more like along the lines of like, well, this is like almost like a new opportunity for me to like learn new cultures and all of that. So, and yeah, and the way you just said that very eloquently, so I really appreciate all of that in that context. And then did you decide like when you got up here, like I was going to lean more into rapping because naturally you had gotten a little bit older at that point. Right. So I know it was 13, 14-ish, like in that range where you started to just kind of like really explore it a lot more.
So I've had a lot of phases with rap, because similar to like my understanding of my new perspective, like it took me a while to not be pessimistic. It took me absolutely like, but of course, like I was a kid, like there's certain things that you can't control as a kid. Like your emotions are gonna go off haywire.
Of course.
When you're uprooted so many times, so frequently, it's really hard to see the perspective from my mom's. Like from her perspective, it's like, yeah, we're moving a lot, but every time we move, we're moving to a better situation. Like Northeast El Paso used to be called like the Devil's Triangle or something, because there was like within a 12-mile radius there was like an uncountable amount of gangs. Then we moved to San Diego. A lot calmer. We're still on campus housing. A lot calmer. Move out to Wellesley, again, still on campus housing, so we're on subsidized housing, but I'm in a suburb.
Right.
Move directly into Boston, like, and I say this to my mother every chance I get, like, moving us directly into Boston was like one of the biggest and most important things that she could have done for my growth as a person, because it took me away from the suburbs and took me away from having to feel like I was like drowning in whiteness, drowning in like people who didn't understand me and like bullied me. Like it took me getting into fights like actively to stop being like bullied, getting talked about. I was still talked about a lot, but never to my face after those fights happened. But when it came to the music, I messed around a lot when I was like in 8th and 7th grade, because that's right when my cousins was getting me going. And then I stopped because I don't know. I just like I got into different things. I was a high school student. I started doing football. I started doing track, doing sports and stuff. I had a little less time and a lot less focus, because I was also really trying to focus on what is the best way for me to continually fit in with these students and with these peers. Because Wellesley has a handful of Latinos and Black students, but a majority, like it's lack of a better word, like just to give you one example of what it was like being there, there was a section in the cafeteria where all the kids of color would sit, specifically the MECO students. Yeah. And they would call it Cafrica, like the entire student body, like to the point where faculty would offhandedly mention it. I always heard them mention it. They would catch themselves obviously in the moment and like kiki, but like yeah, it's crazy. Like it's crazy to say, especially since considering that a lot of those MECO students probably weren't even, well, actually I know for a fact a lot of them weren't African. Like
right.
Like obviously we all come from Africa, African Americans, but like you know what I mean. A lot of them were Caribbeans, were like other Black ethnic groups.
Sure.
But because, you know, of like racism, stereotypes, all that.
Definitely.
So for a while, my focus was really on like, yo, how do I fit in? How do I make it so I don't feel like a pariah, or was it? Yeah, pariah. No, social pariah, frown and pariah. How do I make it so that I don't feel like I want to like kill myself every other day, like on some real shit. But then like music started coming back because I had actually had access to studio equipment. The school had a studio, and that's when I was like, all right, I could actually like, think about pouring my emotions into something that's not just like a sport. Yeah. Because sports are great, but it's an endorphin release. Like I could run my head straight into somebody a million times, and in the moment I'll feel great. I'll feel that release, but I go home not even thinking about the concussion I just got, but thinking about, oh, now I still have to deal with these emotions because I didn't actually deal with them. Versus music, I can literally just pour my heart out on this track and forget about it, or like not forget about it, but just keep listening back to it and like process through what I was going through. So I was like, it did a lot for me. Not being actively in therapy, not being actively supported outside of like my mother, and like that's when I really started taking music like to my heart. But I still had the issue of trying to figure out who I was within my own music and who I was in real life. So when I got to college, I actually I quit almost to my sophomore year, because I just wasn't like, one of the biggest problems I had was that because I was such like, my mother made me read so frequently as a kid that I was like an avid reader. Like I was like, me and my cousins used to have to do fucking book reports in summer. Like we would go to the library in El Paso, check out a handful of books we wanted to read, and write book reports. Like, great, there goes my summer. But because of that, like I had such like an engaging like sense of like, such a desire to read and like garner words. And my mother definitely instilled that with me too. But with that comes like a larger vocabulary that I didn't actually know how to properly say, but also like enunciate more than anything. Like I would be writing my lyrics, and then I would start thinking, all right, how is this gonna sound? And like I was obviously matching the beat. Well, the issue I had was that I was envisioning my favorite rappers rapping. I was envisioning Joey Badass half the time rapping my lyrics, which if he was rapping my lyrics, it's a classic album in my opinion. I'm gonna be honest. Even as a high school student, if Joey was rapping my raps, classic album, because he's a classic rapper. But I'm not Joey Badass. I'm not no Kendrick Lamar. So it took me a really long time to figure out what my voice was and what I wanted to do with my music. And I quit for a little while because I just couldn't find it. Like I got into a relationship my freshman year that like sidelined basically everything I was doing. So I lost complete focus about it. And then when I came back to music, I was just like you don't lose your game, but if you don't have game to begin with, it's a little bit hard to get the shots back up. Like totally. If you never properly learn how to shoot and you come back to shoot for the first game, like you won't have issues. So I had to like really relearn, not even relearn, just like learn what I wanted to sound like. And it wasn't until my like going into my second semester, my sophomore year, where I was like, I'm gonna do music for forever. And that was because my brother Tomo, shout out Prabhat Tomo, Kobk 617 on IG. We got it right here. We got it right here. Oh, I should have lost it. We had it right there. But yeah, shout out CBT, shout out Tomo. Tomo was one of the reasons why was honestly the reason I started doing music again, because I finally made a song that I sounded good on to myself. Like I had other people saying like, oh, this is gas, this is tough, this stuff, but this was the first time I bought into my own voice, and I was like, yo, I could do this. And then he hopped on the song with me and like really completed it. And then I had another song like a few weeks later that we did called Back on My Bullshit. And it was like, yo, like I've never sounded this cool on a song before. Like it was just so natural. And same thing with Tomo's an incredible rapper, so he hasn't had to. I don't know like if he's had to deal with it when he first started, but ever since I can remember, Tomo has sounded cool as fuck on the microphone. So now that I was finally like, I almost like he put a battery in my pack, like crazy. And as soon as we did those two songs, I was like, yo, this is it. This is gonna be my life. And then like a few months later, like I had a conversation with him because he already had established Kobk and shit. So Kobk at that time already was like a handful of folks. You had like Berto, Larry, Cruwe, Shada, Rocka, and Lil already established and shit, and Yeeves too. And so we had a conversation at the time, and it was actually I was talking about it for me and my brother Vino too, because me and him got real close. And we were all, mind you, we all met at UMass Lowell. All of us was from UMass Lowell. And so that's how it was just so easy to just like link up, go straight to the dorm and start cooking up. We would literally like, it was like the greatest setup I can ever imagine. We would like, cause we were in the ICC and this is a hotel room. We had they had a hotel room for dorms. So we would record, roll up. We'd wait for Tomo to make the beat, listen to the beat, roll up, go into the bathroom, spark up, play the beat over and over again, go out, record our verses, roll out while I was recording, go back to the bathroom, spark everything up, and like, so there'd be times where we'd be like 15 deep in that bathroom just because we just had so many people coming through.
We used to do the same shit when I was in like college.
Yeah, bro, that's what you gotta do.
We weren't making music, but like you guys, but we
was getting elevated.
We had the same situation where there was three, not to cut you off, but three guys I lived with that we were in like a suite style, like almost like apartment.
Gotcha.
And but still had like, what do they call them? RAs and different things like that. So yeah, we were on like the very end of the hallway in the corner room, and yeah, that was college.
Yeah,
for sure.
Sounds about right. No,
So,
we was definitely
that's awesome.
enemy number one for the RAs. I'm not gonna get too into it, but there were certain things I was doing that one of the RAs like was trying to literally set me up.
Oh shit!
Like, into the point where like they texted me from another number, trying to get me to do a play on campus.
Oh,
and I was like, "You're
nah."
Like, I can look up your number on Snap right now or Cash App. Like,
yeah, we had a really cool RA. I'll put it that way. She was like, I didn't see nothing. Or I didn't see. I didn't.
Wasn't even my RA is the thing.
That's wild.
My RA was my dog. This girl, Jean Lee. Shout out Jean Lee. My dog all throughout my school. She was a homie for real. Yeah. And then there was a bunch of RAs. It was just, I don't know.
There's always that one, right?
Yeah.
That was like, give a little bit of authority, and they just kind of go too far.
It really just was one.
Yeah.
The
it's always just
staff
one.
in my building was cool.
It's always just one. But I love. Thank you so much for all of that context, because that's really, I think it really just paint the picture exactly of like your journey to get to for you to honestly get to this point, and every sort of step of the way, whether it be the emotional kind of trauma and turmoil that you dealt with. And I wanted to make one quick point too about something you had said earlier about sort of the Cafrica type thing, and unfortunately that, I hate to say it, but like in a lot of suburbs that had MECO programs, or like suburbs that were more predominantly white and had a smaller subset of Latinx or Black or whatever ethnic groups, minority groups, that unfortunately was something that you would see a lot of in a lot of suburban, and maybe it's just I'm sure it's not just Massachusetts, but I heard many people, more so in college, because you're in your own little bubble. I grew up in one town, so it's like you don't really understand until you branch out and meet more people. But that's a sentiment I heard a lot, especially as I met more people of different races and ethnicities and all of that. And it's a shame that even like the faculty would like kind of play a part in that.
Absolutely.
As a teacher, that really bothers me a lot.
Absolutely.
Like really, really does, like to my core. Like you saying that, I'm just picturing myself in that situation of like, I can't fathom like actually, and this doesn't make me like holier than thou or anything like that, but I just can't picture like subscribing to that even as a student, as a teacher, or as a teacher. My high school was so white, we didn't even have that, because we didn't have really any minority groups at all. We had maybe one or two. I'm not kidding. I graduated with 2 black kids.
That's fucking crazy.
I'm not joking.
I'm not gonna lie, Wellesley wasn't far off from 2. We was like my graduating class, I don't think there was more than like 20 or 30 kids of color, at most. And I'm not gonna lie, that 30 number might be an exaggeration.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's crazy. Like when I went to Framingham State, like same thing. Like I just this opened my eyes to like, oh my God, like I was meeting all these different people, and all these different people were having like all these different experiences that I had ever had, and I just ate that shit up, man. Like I think the diversity piece is so important. Like it just is it gives you so much perspective. And I know, like you said, moving around, it's tough. And I only lived in Mass, but I moved around a lot as well. Growing up, just single mom household, kind of same thing. Like just one of those situations. And the amount of moving, every time I've moved probably 10 or 11 times in the last probably 15 years of my life. And it's a lot every time, but every time I have a new experience living somewhere different, I feel like I gain so much from that. Like Absolutely. It's interesting. Like there's pros and cons to like setting roots somewhere and having that be your home, like your forever home rather. But there's also like an added benefit to just traveling around and having different experiences and learning about just learning by sort of environment, truthfully. And like they say, like, you know, traveling is a huge, you know, it's a great teacher. When you travel and you learn about different people's perspectives and experiences, like that's important.
And it's not even like, oh, like you have to.
Yeah,
like, if you're like
you're forced to.
You like there's no choice.
No, there's no choice when you're traveling. Like I was just in Portugal recently, and it's like, yeah, it's a different lifestyle, and I'm going to like embrace that, learn that, and just enjoy it for what it is, and also like walk away from that like feeling like, okay, like I'm either grateful for this, whether it's like this situation I have in my life, or like grateful to have learned this new or experience or thing about a certain culture that I didn't know about before. And that's why I loved teaching. When I taught in the city, this high school I taught at when I got my first teaching job, apparently 70 different languages in the high school I taught at.
I can't even name 70 different.
Isn't that right? I know.
That's beautiful though, for real.
That didn't even feel real. I know that number doesn't even feel. I'm like, is there really that many like languages to learn? But right, as you said, right, it's like there's the melting pot aspect, and I think that in some regard, that is really beneficial. So, I mean, and then the last piece of it that I want to talk about with you, something you mentioned about the book, like being an avid reader. Like, what an added benefit probably you're seeing, and probably then you're like, what the fuck, this sucks, right? But as an adult and as a rapper and as an artist who writes songs, it's like that is what a tool in your tool belt to have, not only just from being able to write and have that vocabulary, but reading comprehension. I mean, dude, it's really important to be able to comprehend what you are reading, no matter what you're reading, whether Absolutely. It's or whatever you're interpreting, right? So, what an added benefit to have for you that maybe was unintentional from your mom, but I'm sure in some way, shape, or form, she's like, he is going to learn how to read and write, and that's going to help him in some way, shape, or form when he's an adult. So I think that, you know, big shout out to mom. I'm sure.
Big shout out to my mother had a mission to make sure that I wasn't like any of the men that she grew up around.
I love that. Likewise, same.
You know, exactly. And like it's an unfortunate truth, but like there's so much, like, obviously the word toxic is like a trendy word that people throw around, but there's so much toxicity within multiple communities, specifically like the Mexican community when it comes to men, like the machismo, like the complete disregard for just a lot of things, like including women. Like it's just every culture has it. Like women in every culture, like especially in Western countries, are treated like terribly, and it's like it's understood that it's just gonna happen. My mother was like, I don't want him to do that. Like even when she was raising me and my sister, she went out of her way to make sure that like our treatment was as equal as possible, because she grew up with two other sisters and one brother, and like her like brother got away with everything. Like, dude, he, you know, joined, like, I'm not gonna get too deep into his history, but like he was banging, like he was slaying, he was doing shit that like you would think a parent would really want to discipline you for, and like there were so many things he didn't get disciplined for until like it became horrific. Versus, yo, my mother she didn't do her chores properly. It was raps. It was hands on deck for me. But like for real, it just, the reading comprehension is so big, because I don't think people realize how difficult reading comprehension is, especially when you're learning it later in the game. Like obviously there's a lot of intersecting things that I had to deal with, a lot of trauma, a lot of adversity as myself, but like I come from a lot of privilege, and I'm so enough privileged that I'm able to realize the privilege that I have, and like be self-aware, because self-awareness in itself is a privilege too.
Of course.
So like the fact that I was able, like, bro, I was reading The Hobbit when I was in elementary school.
That's amazing.
I read Ender's Game.
real.
I read Ender's Game when I was in 5th grade.
Damn.
And
Wow.
not even on some like flipping the pages, because there were definitely some books I was flipping the pages. You know, all the Harry Potter books. I was like, no, yeah, Harry Potter. I wasn't really reading Harry Potter, but like, I opened up Ender's Game, and I would have full on conversations with my family about it, because like that's what we was doing.
Yeah.
And even when it came to how I was like disciplined, my mother didn't raise her hands on me. Feel me? Like she did her best to like discipline me in a way that wasn't punitive. So by the time I got older, like it would like, obviously still as a kid, I'm like, yeah, this sucks. Like moving again and again, it sucks. But like, because she gave me so many tools, I was able to understand things that like I wouldn't have understood at all. Like colorism, bro. Like if I grew up in a homogeneous place, I wouldn't have understood colorism. Like I recently traveled to Chicago, and I spent some time in Pilsen, Pilsen is majority Mexican neighborhood. It's gorgeous, like one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Like I was almost brought to tears by a plate of tamales and frijoles, bro. Like that's how good it was, and that's how like far and disconnected from my culture I was. And like while I really like, part of me really wishes I could have stayed around a more like centralized Mexican area, like a Texas, California. I also really appreciate my mother for still taking us out here, because I wouldn't have been able to understand things like a colorism. Because even when I was in high school, if you was an other, you was an other. I didn't really understand colorism outside of a book until I got to college, where I've seen it real time. Because like obviously the kids who were darker toned than me had a much harder experience than I did. But because my experience was so difficult, like it was just like, yo, we're all just in this, and we're all just getting shitted on. But because I was reading shit like the Hesse Coates, I was understanding like, yo, there's levels to this shit. Like, and I have to be able to understand that, like, in order for me to gain my own freedom and liberation, whether it be like socially, economically, like in any sense of the form, I have to be willing to understand that there's a million people right behind me who are equally, if not more, not equally, are significantly more disenfranchised than me.
Right.
And I'm only gonna get my said liberation if I ensure that liberation. So like that changed, that like reading and having my mother in my life like that completely, like like I said, I could complain about the shit that I went through for hours and hours and hours, to the point where I could be almost brought to tears about like the shit. And like I would bring the people, people would hear me and be brought to tears about the shit that I had to live through, whether it be the violence I had to live through, whether it be like the emotional violence and instability I had to live through. But all of that was completely worth it, because like, as traumatized as I am, bro, like my mother gave me the tools to build my empire.
Absolutely. No, and I can't speak. I mean, I don't like comparing, experiences, unless it's just like, I mean, it's drastic, right? Unless you are, living in some mega mansion somewhere. But even then, like, that's that old saying, more money, more problems, right? It's like, there's, like you said, there's levels to this, and there's different in perspective, and just everybody kind of has their traumas and their own problems, but it's just obviously highlighted, and there's just different levels to it. So I mean, I can't relate to a lot of the things you're speaking about from the context of obviously being a Mexican American. Like, that's not my reality. And, being discriminated against because you're Mexican, like I don't have that reality either. The reality I do have, though, of you is just growing up with a single mom. And the power of single women, like single mothers, especially. Like, huge shout out to any single parent.
Big shout out to mothers. Big shout out to mothers worldwide.
Yeah, especially single moms, because they're superheroes. They like really are. They're playing both roles. They're trying, especially a single mother raising boys is really important, because they helped shape, like you said, shape how we treat other men, other women, like how we sort of like maybe are a little bit more in touch with our emotional like intelligence, right, and all that.
Absolutely.
I think that all.
Absolutely.
And I think what you and I really, I think energy wise, I think that's why we connected so much. I didn't really know you like grew up with a single mom, but now it's like I almost could feel that energy from you in a way, if that makes sense. Because like I have that same perspective as well. So it's like I feel like that. I don't know. It's just it's like this weird thing I can't even quite like put my
it's again like,
tongue on in words.
Real recognize real. Like for real.
Yeah.
And like, I will say my mother did have partners growing up, and they did help her raise me. I remember when I was in 8th grade, no 7th grade, she started dating this woman who had been there for like 8 years. That they did a lot of. I have a lot of disdain for them. Still somewhat thankful because they created a really unique perspective for me.
Sure, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was always my mother. My mother was always the one putting the tools in my hand.
Yeah, it starts and stops with her, right? And you know, with any sort of, I mean, my mom had, you know, different partners throughout, you know, my childhood as well, and my dad was kind of in and out of the picture, more out than in. But you know, it's just I you know, when I was a kid, I used to say, you know, because like you said, like I grew up in a suburb where, you know, there wasn't a lot of families of divorce. There wasn't a lot of families with single parents. It's everybody every kid I grew up with had both parents around and both, you know, all these things. And I used to ask all the time, like, why me? And I used to kind of have that like outlook about it, like kind of similar, but I was young. I was 13, 14 years old. I probably didn't know much better. And I think I look back now, and while it was difficult, I wouldn't trade it because I gained that perspective, and it's really done me a lot of good in my adult life, even though it's like I do have to still work through those traumas and the different things that I went through like all the time. You'd almost rather that than not have it at all.
Absolutely.
You know?
No, absolutely.
Because then it just I feel like it's made, I'm going to speak for you, but it's like it made us better people. Like, and it made us more thoughtful and a little bit more intentional, and maybe a little bit more, like I said, like we have like a more grasp on our like on our emotions, really, right? Because that's, you know, it's a hard thing with, you know, men's mental health, like men just not feeling like they can come out and speak about, you know, what they're struggling with. And I don't think I ever really had that issue, you know, as much, just because I grew up with, you know, a mom that, you know, was emotional when she had to be, and like sort of instilled in us that it's like okay to like feel what you're feeling, and like that, you know, versus, you know, my Italian father, who, you know, again, just is just kind of product of his own environment, that, you know, you're a man, you don't talk about your emotions, you don't even have them, as far as they're concerned, you know.
There's that what is it, the be a man thing, where it's like, having a bad day, keep it to yourself, be a man, like that's just the funniest shit to me,
because it's so tongue-in-cheek,
it's so bad. Like... yeah, that's really what we grew up with. Like my mother always encouraged me to cry. Yeah, Mom, it would actually upset my mother when I went through something and I didn't cry about it, because she was like, you need to cry about it.
You gotta feel it. You gotta go through it, because you're gonna bottle that, and it's gonna manifest itself somewhere else. Exactly, it always comes out somewhere else, you know. And you can't run from your trauma. Your body keeps
score. There's a book. It's like your body keeps score.
Yeah, it does, and it'll come out. It'll come out some other way.
Exactly,
and it could be a destructive way, right? Exactly. So you don't want that, and you have to deal with these things in healthier ways. And this is probably a good transition to get into the main lesson, because your new project, New Wave Part 2, is that correct?
New Wave Part 2.
New Wave Part 2. And I know this project is meaningful to you, and we've discussed it a little bit off air when we were talking, and I feel like people might, you know, I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because, and we talked about this before I show the cover of the album, I'll put it on the screen for you guys. I think people would, not knowing you at all, right, stereotype the album and say, oh, this is such a misogynistic album cover with you in the middle and all the women around you, right? Yeah. Not knowing anything about you, having zero context, and they could see it that way. However, you actually have it flipped. It's not that, it's quite opposite. It's you want to uplift, like you're showing like you were raised by so many women around you, and like that women have made you strong and helped you with your, like, everything we're talking about right now, right? Dealing with emotions, and that like treating women well and uplifting them is like a vital thing that we have to do in our society. and highlighting the respect that you have for women and all of that. And I think you're showing them in such an elegant way in not only the cover but also within the music as well. So and I know you've done even a little bit of activist work on this topic as well. So I guess just like talk to me about how you've tried to channel all of that into the music and how that like has helped you to, I guess not deal with the trauma necessarily, but just like how you've allowed for yourself to use your experience in growing up with so many strong women around you and how that's sort of translated now into like your artistry. I'm just like really...
No, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, even outside of my mother, I was raised by a village of women,
yeah,
of queer folks, of queer women, feel me? Like all like intersecting identities. Like my mother's best friend is a queer woman who is very masculine to the point where obviously not like but I'm like, she's masked, feel me? Like when I was a kid, I literally asked her, I was like 5 years old, I was like, are you a girl or are you a boy? And like they were all laughing because like, oh, this kid is just making jokes, but it's like I'm trying to figure it out. But like in that moment, my mom was like, that's not how you ask someone that. That's not how you ask them that question. And even though it was like at a small faculty party with my mom, she was bringing me around, she still took the time to, instead of being like, oh, boys will be boys, he's a kid, to be like, no.
Yeah. Or scold, or the opposite way, or being like, no, like you don't talk
expect me on the head or some shit.
Yeah. She just sits you down, has a conversation, like, no, this is not how you address somebody with this. This is how you should do it.
And it wasn't even like
incredible.
It wasn't even a sit down because like I didn't feel embarrassed in the moment. I just thought it was funny.
Right.
But like it was, her name's Chris. It was my mom and Chris, and they didn't even like really skip a beat. They were just like, that's not how you ask someone that, and then boom, right back to normal.
Yeah, okay, so like not making a bigger deal than it need to be, but still addressing it in the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty important.
Which made me understand as a kid, like, oh, it's okay to ask questions. I just have to be careful how I ask said questions because there's
totally
like you have 100 different men or 100,000 like men and men and men always like, oh, I'm just asking. It's just a question, knowing damn well the way to say the question was mad disrespectful.
Right.
But going back, like I do want to say, I really appreciate you mentioning the part of the cover art, because that was one aspect of it that I was a little worried about, that people would only see it as the playboy, as the bravado, like would only see that aspect of like, oh, dude in chains and a nice coat, light skinned dude with braids around a bunch of women, like a bunch of like beautiful women. When in fact there was like, obviously there's that sense of like, yeah, I'm the shit, I'm that guy, but at the same time, like, bro, like if you look at my face, you can see the dark circles. Like I don't have a lighter on me because I can't. Like I need these women around me in order to survive. Like these women are like protecting me and uplifting me. And the other reason I wanted to show that is because I like, one, uplifting is important, but it's also like, yo, I need men to realize, bro, that if you're a good person, women will do, like the women in your life will do everything for you. Like
absolutely,
bro, you give women the time of day, the respect, the support, the care. You show them that you're in their corner, bro. And I guarantee, just like how your boys will ride for you, every single woman in your life would kill for you. And I swear to God.
That's so well said. I completely agree.
There's women in my life, bro. I even had a song back ages ago where I was like, I got two shorties who will shoot for me and then do the time. And like, obviously that's a flop thing to say, but like there's women in my life who would do that. And that's because I've been so intentional with not only like my support and my protection of them, but also like my willingness to understand my position, because that's one of the big things that I learned being surrounded by women, is that like I was able to pick up on how badly men was hurting them. And because I was able to see that, and I just like, it's like seeing a kid get bullied and being like, yo, I don't like being bullied, so why would I want to be bullied? Why would I want to be a bully?
Absolutely.
Why would I want to inflict the same pain that my sister and my mother was growing up with? And like going back to the project, like all this shit, it's just an amalgamation of me. I'm an amalgamation of everything that I've been through. I mean, and like there's so much nuance that I think gets lost with artists wanting to focus on one thing and not allowing themselves the freedom to fully express it. Because like there's music on these projects, these last two projects, that when I was like 19, I would have never said I was gonna make. Like I grew up making boom bap and trap music with my cousins. Feel me? Like that was my bread and butter. But like last few years, I've been a lot more comfortable, and a lot of it goes back to my mother. I'm making the music that my mother, like reiterations of the music that my mother was playing growing up. My cousins was all playing Lil Wayne, 50 Cent, Like 50 Cent was my favorite rapper growing up, but I was also going home listening to Sade, listening to George Michael. For me, like Depeche Mode. Like I was listening to like super niche artists, not niche because they were mainstream, but like in my communities it was niche.
It was niche too. Yeah, I'm sure in your community is very niche. Yeah,
exactly. Well, not niche. Definitely not like.
Just a little bit more like left field, like off the beaten path, like not something you'd normally maybe hear.
In my age group, people wasn't listening to Depeche.
No, totally not. No, your age group, our age group certainly. No, absolutely. Not to ask such a surface level question, but what's your favorite song on out of the three? Because obviously this is a bit of a 3-pack here. Out of the three, I know it's like asking who's your favorite child.
No, literally. I think
if you had to choose,
I love all of them for so many different reasons. I'll give you a top 3. I would say "Go Fund Me" is one of my favorites because that song is just like the perfect encapsulation of like me. Like the song is a breakbeat club song that you would hear at a house event. Yeah, it's some like shout out Cholita's Delight. Went crazy on that. But the things that I'm talking about aren't things you would hear. You wouldn't think you would hear in a club setting or like in a pop breakbeat setting. Like I'm talking about like some shit for me. And I think that like duality, it really represents me. So I love that song for that. But also the fact like I'll be listening to that song back to myself and it's fun. It's fun to listen to. And it's also like the song that is like the most out of left field that I've done. Like,
sure.
Like I said, you showed me that beat when I was 19. I'm like, bro, can you put some fucking trap music on? What the fuck you talking about? Like, bro.
That speaks to your elevation as an artist for sure.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you for saying that. I would say the other song that I really, really like is Gutters because it's the same thing. Shout out Indo Soul. He made that one. Gutters is a Jersey club beat. Dun 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 dun, and it's like some shit you bop your head to. You like dance a little bit too, but if you like take a look at the words, like I talk about getting stuck up in that song. I talk about like one of the lines is, "Come watch a demon, the trauma is still molding." Like I'm still going. Like the things that I'm saying on that song are things that you would think you would hear on like some real introspective beat, some like Isaiah Rashad type shit.
Yeah,
shout out Isaiah Rashad.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Oh my god,
he's so good.
Crazy. I think what you said with Kendrick. That's a song with Kendrick and.
What you said, what you saying, something like that. It's off of his that second LP that Sun's Tirade.
I think that I'm gonna be honest.
I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
There's a little recency bias because I listened to it recently. I think that might be one of the greatest rap songs ever, if not.
Yeah,
bro, like.
That's the one that's like verses. It's got James. Is it James Fauntleroy that's on that?
It's Zachary. Oh wait,
is it Zachary or is
Zachary? That's right. I always say his name wrong. Let me see.
It's like I'm running. I'm not doing it justice at all. Yeah, that's like the melody, right?
How many hoes did you fuck today? How many souls did you touch? Bro, that shit is
kind of crazy. That is crazy. That is a crazy track. Oh wow, we just ummed at the same time. That was weird.
That was cool.
Do you we're on the same wavelength? Yeah. Mind if we play a clip of GoFundMe for the people so they can check and kind of hear the vibe of it?
Absolutely.
Amazing. I would love that. Well, we're gonna take a short break.
Actually, matter of fact, play Gutters. Play
Gutters.
Gutters.
Got you. All right. We're gonna take a short break. We're gonna take a short break, and we're gonna play Gutters off of Dom Dior's brand new EP, New Wave Part 2, and we will be right back.
By demons who look in the gutter, surrounded by women who looking for love, surrounded by youngers who looking for cover. Yeah, I'm coming straight from the gutter, surrounded by demons who look in the gutter, surrounded by women who looking for love, surrounded by youngers who looking for cover. And if I'm not rolling with Kobk, then trust me, I'm moving dolly. And I'm a pop out with a pole, loading up shit for the police, filling my house with a phone. If that was not both for the fold, then I might go to jail for the shit that I'm holding. And come watch a demon, the trauma still molded. I might go to hell, but man, fuck it, I'm rolling. I'm sticking, but girl, I'm as hard as it gets. I'm showing you think I was made of baguettes. I'm rolling my ops with my list of regrets. I'm shooting with something you'd never forget. Yeah, I'm coming straight from the gutter, surrounded by demons who look in the gutter, surrounded by women who looking for love, surrounded by youngers who looking for cover. whip. I stay with the hammer, I'm way too legit. I'm going in shorty, I could never quit. A couple thousand on my wrist, and you cannot touch none of it. No, I cannot handle this shit. No, I cannot handle this shit. My hands around me since I was a gist. I know everything that I touch is a hit. I'm tripping, I'm not the one pissed. I'm trying to get mama away from this death. So don't ever ask me if I'm feeling stressed. Thinking about how that I put a gun into my chest. My eyes was open, my fist was cleansed. I felt that he blessed, had nothing to know what was coming next. Yeah, good love so sunny, you know I'm next. Ain't nothing to know what was coming next. But good love so sunny, so you know I'm blessed. Good love so sunny, so you know I'm blessed. Good love so sunny, you know that I'm blessed. And I'm coming straight from the gutter, surrounded by demons who look in the gutter, surrounded by women who looking for lovers, surrounded by youngers who looking for cover. And I'm coming straight from the gutter, surrounded by demons who look in the gutter, surrounded by women who looking for lovers, surrounded by youngers who looking for cover.
And that was Guttas off of Dom Dior's brand new EP, New Wave Part 2. What's Wrong is the song, the Isaiah we had the what's.
I was about to say, the W-A-T-S.
Yeah, we were there somewhere. I want to get more into a little bit about the main lesson, which is like, again, what you're doing now and the artistry and things like that. But I believe it's time for a pop quiz. In this,
let's do it.
We've hit the point in the show where we got.
I love this format, by the way. Like objective pop quiz, assigned. Like yes,
I got you. I actually. For any returning listeners, there's going to be actually a brand new segment we're going to try out with you today. So you're going to be like my guinea pig for a brand new segment, which is coming a little bit soon. Not to spoil it, but that'll come a little bit later. Pop quiz is a series of rapid fire questions. Some of them have stuff to do with music. Some of them might have something to do completely outside of music, but they're all about you. Mm-hmm. So there's no way you can fail. No one's ever failed. It's okay.
Amazing.
All right. So my first question is, what's the biggest thing you miss about Texas, and what do you love most about Mass?
Family. Family is definitely the thing I miss most about Texas. My cousins were my best friends growing up. Those are my cousins. Wasn't my cousins. They were my siblings. So They we would spend we would just be like sleeping on the floor together. Like that was it. Like I remember like having like 7 of my cousins and me and my sister, 7 including all of us, like all in the living room having a sleepover like every single day during the summer. I'd have my cousins from Las Cruces come to visit us. Yeah. So definitely family.
Cool. And what do you love most about Mass? Being like your time in Massachusetts, like is there anything specific that you love most about
the people? No.
People.
I think like it was definitely a culture shock. People don't say hi out here. You feel me? I'm from the South, so
I know it's strange, right?
When you see somebody walk across the street, you're like, yeah, what's going on?
Well, every time I go to the South, it's all the time.
Exactly.
Literally all the time. Even out west, I feel like I get more of that than I do here.
People who want to send my people home will still say, good morning. Yeah. Like people who believe Mexicans should never be in the U.S. are still like, hey, how you doing? Like it's funny. But up here, you can have somebody who's a freedom fighter and they'll look straight at the ground or straight ahead. Yeah. But still, the people here are incredible.
Amazing. I love that. Still. I love that. I know you're a big coffee guy, and it's right here clearly, so that you definitely are. What's normally your go-to place to get coffee, and then what's like your go-to order? Is it Dunks, or is there like a different spot you go to for coffee?
Coffee's a very, very touchy subject for me.
How so?
I was a barista for like 6 years.
Oh, there you go.
So I started at Pete's, so I was very much like Pete's coffee supremacy. There's no better coffee than Pete's, and then Pete's got bought out by by a conglomerate trying to make us into Starbucks.
Sure.
So then I was like, fuck it, I'm not going whatever. But I went to I went to South Dakota for a while for a camping trip.
Okay.
Middle of my junior summer. And I started getting really into black coffee because that's all there was. Yeah. Because originally my coffee order was like basically would be a frappuccino. Yeah. Like or all like
sugar and
like it'd be tea or a frappuccino or like a iced mocha. Those are my 3 go-tos. But then I started drinking black coffee and I was like, this is kind of it. And then I started going to Starbucks like almost religiously. And then I found out not recently, because I found out in high school that their CEO was Zionist, and I stopped.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, back then
I'm not a coffee drinker for context. I actually am allergic to caffeine, so I don't even drink.
It's probably for the better.
It is.
Caffeine is most definitely a drug.
No question about that.
No question. So I stopped, and I was like, nah, it's fuck Starbucks. But then all around was just Starbucks. And then I did a little bit more research, and everything that was telling me about the Starbucks Israel relationship, I couldn't get a straight answer. It was always like yes, maybe, or like there used to be a start. Like all I was gathering was that the CEO himself was Zionist. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep going to Starbucks. To the point where I was going for Starbucks unconsciously for years because they had the best fast coffee in my opinion. Like the regular iced coffee and their Americano tastes great to me compared to like a Dunkin' or like a not even a Dunkin', like Cafe Nero, for example. Like there's just certain things that I was like, this is fine, and it's a lot cheaper than artisanal coffee, but it doesn't taste like it was burnt for the last 3 hours.
Gotcha.
But due to recent events, I can't bring myself to buy their coffee no more, even though I still got like $45 in my Starbucks card. Don't know what I'm gonna do with that.
Give it away to somebody.
Jury's still out on Dunkin', so if y'all can provide me some information about whether Dunkin' supports Israel, please let me know because I can't.
No,
I can't change my coffee order again.
Yeah, we can't be doing that. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, anything that's supporting Israel right now. Free
Palestine, free Gaza. Save Palestine, save Gaza.
I'm right there with you. And just on the side of humanity in general, seriously. Like it's just the killing should just stop on both sides. It's really gross. But sorry, we're gonna get off topic. But I just know I'm right there with you. I think it's read a little more than a headline, people. That's all I'll say. Okay, or read more than a tweet or like a Instagram post. Actually, like do a little bit of research on the history, please. Like that's all I ask.
And listen to the people who are there and the people who have families in the middle of this.
Yes,
those are the voices that matter the most.
Absolutely, I couldn't have said it better. Now back to things that are way less important. What's the most underrated Nike accessory or piece of clothing in your opinion?
Shit, I love this question. Fuck. Oh man, the most underrated Nike.
So not like your favorite, but like some some type of accessory that maybe not as many people wear, or like a specific type of jacket or your shoe or shirt, whatever it is. Like something that people don't normally gravitate to that you think is like super dope that more people should wear that are Nike fans.
Jordan brand clothes. For a while, Jordan brand, especially when I was working at Nike, everybody was like, Jordan brand clothes, we don't want that shit. But Jordan be making fire shit. Like this bomber right here.
I know it's a fire bomber, and it's Jordan. I noticed it actually earlier. I used to rock all Jordan shit when I was younger. But
for me, I would say, but like it's not really underrated anymore. I would say the for me is this is a great question, bro. ACG, the ACG. It's not too slept on, but I think ACG is probably ACG or Nike Lab are like the two coolest departments of Nike in my opinion.
Gotcha.
Like I have like half my closet is ACG. Fire. Great, cozy, warm.
I love that. Next two are still on that same wave. Best line or type of Nike shoe in your opinion?
The Air Force. There's no better shoe than the Air Force. Around when I was growing up, it was Chucks, Cortezes, and Air Forces, and I always thought Air Forces. I mean, I also thought all three were cool, but for me, like the Air Force, because I love chunky shoes.
Okay.
It was it's indescribable, bro. Like it's such a brilliant shoe. I think it's the greatest shoe that was ever created. I think like that's the best shoe. I think right behind it. It was like you didn't say underrated, right?
Nope, I said best line of shoe or favorite type of shoe from Nike. Yeah, in your opinion,
I would say the Air Force, or the Jordan 1 or Jordan 5.
Okay, tight. Favorite shoe that you own from your own collection?
Either my Travis 1s or my Oregon 5s. So much that I don't touch those shoes.
You don't even wear them.
Like. I have a pair of Travis 4s too. I love that blue, so I would say those are my three favorites.
Interesting. Okay. Favorite activity you like to do with your two dogs?
My two dogs, damn. Lay in my bed, sleep. Yeah. They are incredible cuddlers. They're so small, so I can literally just like lay straight on my back and just have them right here, and then just like.
Maybe that's the next album cover.
Just for all the dogs, right? For all the dogs.
Oh wow, you're getting into a weird. It's a later segment.
Oh,
hold your horses. Hold your dogs there. So this is I'm very curious about this because I worked in like customer service for just a slight time. I know you've worked as a barista, you mentioned, and then worked at Nike and now at Apple, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
So what's like the worst customer? You don't have to mention the person exactly, but worst customer interaction you've ever been like witnessed or been a part of?
Prior to working at Apple, it was it was funny. There's two. One, the store I was at was like I was at a Family Dollar and it was borderline stuck up.
Okay.
But like I was 18 at the time and like I was high pretty regularly during my shifts. So I didn't really know what was going on with homie. He was also like slurring everything, but I was like, what's going on? Nothing ever happened. He kind of just like he's like obviously he didn't go in there thinking he was gonna get much. He kind of just went on there as a whim, I'm assuming. Yeah. But the worst one was I think when I was like 16 years old. There was this woman at a Pete's Coffee I was at who was like, "Hey, you made my drink really bad. I think I need a refund or a new one." And at Pete's for the large size was this big ass mug, and Shorty had drinking all but like a third.
Oh my god. I hate when they do this shit.
It's like, I don't know if you ever seen that video of the guy who's like, "You gonna make me eat this?" And she's like, "Well, let me ask the audience. Like, the plate is clean." It was that type of shit. She was like, "You're gonna make me pay for this?" I was like, "Ma'am, you drank your drink. Yeah. If you took like a few sips, I would have been like, no, let's get it done. It's taken care of because it's food service. There's so much shit that like there's so much money that going in and out of food service that a glass of milk, basically what we was doing with, is not the end or bake.
Sure.
And
if they take a few sips and like this isn't quite right. It's different. Like, absolutely.
If you come to me as a human, feel me? Like, if you come to me as a sane person, I'm going to react as a sane person.
Yeah.
But I was like, what? No. And then the person who actually made their drink, funny enough, was my mom's ex-girlfriend. And she was like, "No, we're not fucking doing that." Like, verbatim. And it started a huge, like, a whole ass thing about her yelling at them yelling at each other. And her husband came in and started yelling. We had to call like the one of the fucking like shift leads had to call the police in the back.
Damn.
Because homie actually tried to grab her
over a cup of coffee.
Over a cup, not even coffee. It was a matcha latte, bro. It was 2 ingredients: milk and finely ground tea.
Even still, over a drink.
Over a drink.
We're really doing this
over $4.75.
Seriously.
Like in a town where you guys probably make $1 million a year.
Seriously.
Like
yeah. Ugh.
That taught me that rich people are exceptionally more stingy than anybody else.
It's
how they keep their money. Wealth hoarders.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Oh, that's probably most people that are probably in any sort of customer service industry have probably had some type of thing. It's just the entitlement, man. No, the entitlement drives me nuts. No, again, it's one thing if like it's an honest mistake, we'll fix it, whatever, right? But like
there's only so many things I could blame on incompetence.
Yeah.
And now that I'm at like Apple and stuff, we see so many people a day that like I've had to kick people out the store. Mm-hmm. Like like mid conversation, I'm like, "You're not gonna talk to me this way. Mm-hmm. You can leave right now. Or I can get a manager to help you out."
Right. Crazy.
I
might mispronounce this, so if I do, please correct me on the correct pronunciation because again, I'm not Mexican. Explain what I believe it's pronounced Chicano.
Chicano. Yeah, you got it.
So explain what that means and why it's so important to you, because I know you have it tatted on you and everything like that. So a little bit of context. I'm just genuinely curious, especially as a tattoo guy too. I like meaning behind tattoos and whatnot. So
of course. Nah, I definitely appreciate you also being like conscientious of the pronunciation. A lot of people, when it comes to words in general, pronunciations are important. Names are important.
Of course.
Chicano, there's like 2 aspects of it. It's like one, the basic aspect is like it's Mexican American. It's just another word for Mexican American. However, when you dive deeper into it, Chicano was actually a slur that white folks used to use against Mexican Americans who didn't speak Spanish. Not even necessarily who didn't speak Spanish, but just like first generation, second generation Mexicans around World War I and World War II. So originally it was a slur. It was like Chico and like Tejano. Like it was an amalgamation of shit. But folks started reappropriating it and calling each other Chicano and identifying as Chicano because you had an entire generation of Mexican Americans who, like, a lot of them didn't know Spanish as well as their parents. So not only could they not connect with being fully Mexican and being and living in Mexico, but also because they were Mexican still, most of them are brown, darker skin, very clearly non-white. They obviously couldn't be connected with the States. So it was like, I was like, yo, I hate to say it, but I'm literally like caught between two worlds. So let me just make my own world. And that bred like an incredible Mexican American culture, like Chicano culture in like the South and in the West is like one of the most beautiful things ever. And like it just sparked so many like incredible things. It sparked the Zoot Suit era. It sparked like lowrider culture. It sparked like, I don't know. It was just like the perfect metaphor for like Mexicans in general. A lot of them are mestizos. Most Latinos in the world are mestizos, which means they're a mixture of indigenous Mexicans, like the Mixteca people, and the tribes that were all there. Combination of Mexicans, original Mexicans, colonizers, and black slaves. So we're mestizos because we're basically mutts. We're combinations of all these things. So Chicano is like another thing of that. It's like, yo, like I know where things come from. I know where my people come from to a certain extent, but I don't necessarily fit in that same box because I'm somewhere new. But I also don't fit in this box that's new because I'm not allowed to fit in. So let me make my own box.
Well, I love this podcast because I love to learn something new from my guests every time. So that was amazing and something I had absolutely no knowledge or context of. So know your history, people. I know that just came.
Definitely do more research because that was a flash course. There's entire college departments dedicated to Chicano culture.
I'm glad I asked. So thank you so much for giving that type of context. That's it, pop quiz. I think you passed. You did a great job. Well done. Yeah, you hear the applause in the background, people. Yeah, he deserves it. Yeah. So you talked about it a little bit earlier, and now I'm curious. I want to. It was more in the context of college, but now that you guys are all out of college and you're still like obviously pursuing, and what I mean is the Kobk. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious with you guys as a collective. Is that safe to say you guys are like a collective? Is that something that I can bring? So. What has that been like being a part of a collective like this? And, what's kind of your guys' mission sort of going forward? Is it one of those things where you want to do a lot more things together, or is it more of like you kind of just supporting each other and sort of making it more of a movement? I'm kind of curious of like, are you guys planning on releasing a lot of music together, or is it, like I said, more of just like we are all of this sort of like aligned in terms of like business? I'm kind of curious where that sort of like where that falls.
No, I love Kobk because it's us. People move in waves. For me, like we've had different eras of Kobk. Like in college, it was definitely like a G unit, like moving all like every single party we're pulling up and we're taking the aux. Like there was a party I remember we went to, I think at UMass Dartmouth, where we straight up just started playing Kobk music on the aux. And then when they turned off the speaker, we're like, okay, bet, we're going to take the speaker then. So we just left and took the speaker, and that was the speaker we used for our parties for like the next 2-3 years. Then when like all of us are pretty spread out, there's only a handful of us in Boston proper. Mm-hmm. Like, we got folks in like Brockton and shit. And like all over, even in Lowell and shit too. Mm-hmm. But so like we've gone through phases, and it's definitely a collective. And we use that term very loosely just so we have like, because we just, like I said, we go through phases. Like in 2021, we all kind of locked back in to make Kobk Radio Volume, was it Volume 2, I think? There's been a few, but we were like every single week studio session, like it was back in college. But then we're complex creatures. We got things going on. Like Tomo, for example, like Tomo was really leading the charge for Kobk for a really long time. Like he had that shit on his back. But he also had to grow as an individual artist. He couldn't just have Kobk. Of course. So that's when he started CBT, really diving into his own stuff. And a conversation we all had was that like, in order for us to really be like a full collective, we all have to be like strong on our own. And like we can always reconvene. That's always family. But like we're a support system for real for each other, like an artistic support system. That's really what like I think the basis of it is. Like we give ourselves the freedom to interact, but also like step back, because we have members who are crazy active, always in the studio, always at events, and then we have some other members who are there when they can be, and that's not as frequent. And it's not. I don't think they love Kobk any less. It's just that they're complex creatures.
Sure. Yeah, and people, like you said, people just naturally will grow and move differently, but it's still good that you guys still have like that still love for each other and the support for each other. That's it. So it's kind of, I guess in a way, it's both everything I just kind of asked. It's like you guys still cook up when you can, but you also still support each other from afar.
Exactly.
So that's nice. I appreciate that a
fine.
lot. And then you've done a ton of work. I'm actually wearing the sweatshirt right now, the hoodie. You can't really see it because I got this very quickly at Master of the Chamber. Like the one that was just recently had. It's got all the enjoy the thrill shit on the back. So
yes, sir. Yes,
sir. And I know you've done quite a bit of work with Steph and Cam. Big shout out to those guys, by the way. Like
sir.
just
the biggest of shout outs.
They are like amazing. Seriously, I met them the same night I met you.
Yeah,
I was familiar with them, and what I love about them so much, in terms of social media presence, until this recent one with the Grandmaster of the Chamber, that's what it was. Thank you. I completely forgot the name of it. Escaped me. I almost feel like I was following Enjoy the Thrill for a really long time, but there was never I never felt like there was a face of it. You know what I mean? Like they seemed like they moved in such a way where like they really just took a back seat to it, like almost like in the shadows, if you will, like allowing the artists that were a part of it and that were going to these competitions, like allow them to be like the shining ones, right? And are being in the spotlight. So I appreciate that a lot from them. And then just like they have incredible energy, and they've been incredibly supportive of me, and allowed me to come in on the press conference. And so I just, I look forward to potentially doing more work with them in the future, and or just even just honestly supporting them from afar, because I really think they're doing some special things. So how did you get involved with them, and sort of how have they helped you? I want to talk more about like the performance side, because I know obviously as an artist, performing is just part of it. So how has working with Enjoy the Thrill and being a part of them, how have you been able to grow as a performer working with them and sort of learning like from that, all these sort of different opportunities and experiences?
Oh, for sure. I will say if y'all are able to find the time, definitely have them both on so they can tell the full story. Because Enjoy the Thrill goes back years. Like the real ones know about Cycle Streetwear.
Well, you know Cam and Steph will get you guys on here real soon. Absolutely. I'll be in touch.
Absolutely. Please do. Because I could talk about their story, but nobody could tell it better than them.
Yeah.
But I got linked up back when there was still Cycle Streetwear, like 2018.
Okay.
Through Clark. So similar to Tomo, Clark was another person who really asserted like my dream of being an artist and making it so that like it wasn't a dream. He really elevated my music. He taught me how to use autotune pretty much, and how to use my voice for real that I wanted to. And because I was so clicked up with him for so close, I was like, yo, I know you know who Psycho is. Like, tap me in with them. Because they had been coming to, we had a bunch of, like, UMass Lowell, like, performances. So I met them, and I'd always say hi to Cam and Steph in passing and stuff. And it was always love. Like, there was one time where it's the first time I actually met C4 and King Bradley. It was at an event just outside of Brockton. And me and Cam were going to get food beforehand, driving in some hoopty, just like for like 20 minutes, and just got mad connected. Like I still vividly remember that conversation today. Like I will never forget. At one point we went to a pizza spot. We were trying to be like kind of funny because they had a basketball, and they were like, "Yo, y'all got a hoop outside? If we play you, could we get some free pizza?" There was dickheads to us. Just some white Italians been like, "No, that's not funny. You guys are dickheads. You guys are idiots."
Italians have no sense of humor.
Nah, especially not down there, I guess. Italian Americans. But so fast forward, I got linked up with them, and then I asked to use their studio to shoot a music video. Okay. Didn't end up working out because I actually had to slide as soon as I got there. But from then, like, it was Cycle Studios, and now it's Thrill Studios. Been the same place ever since. And ever since then, like, each year I got closer and closer and closer to them until, like, 2020, like, I was running with them regularly. Like, they literally let me stay at Thrill, like, and sleep there during COVID times. Yeah. Like, Thrill was, like, a community beacon for us for so long. And, like I said, I was running around with them all around the city. Like, I literally would hit them like, "Yo, what do y'all need me to do?" And I'll do it. Like, on some, like, "Yo, you say jump, how high" type shit. Just because, like, I could just see how passionate they were about this shit. Yeah. And, like, how much, like, it's so rare to see somebody so hardworking be so comfortable in the background. Like, they know what role they want to do, and they play that role better than anybody else could. Yeah, so that it was just a matter of like accidental circumstances again and again and again till we asserted ourselves as family.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And then in terms of like the performance side, like
facts, I forgot the question.
No, that's okay. I asked you two kind of questions at once. I tend to do that a little bit too often. Yeah. So in terms of the performance side, like how have you felt like you've grown as a performer? Because I know you've done like a bunch of their events and different things like that. Obviously, being as close as you are with them, what has that been like for you to, you know, really get that type of practice as a performer?
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean I'm eternally grateful for them putting me on the first chamber. Like I'm a part of history officially, and they were all like, it was so important that moment for me because it was one of the first times I had a really bad performance. Like I had a terrible chamber performance. Who knows if I would have ever been Master of the Chamber, Nate Nicks. Shout out Nate Nicks. But I definitely didn't set myself up to do so. And that moment really showed me, I'm like, yo, like I could be making some of the greatest music of my life. I could be making some of the greatest music ever created. But if I can't perform it, if I can't showcase it, that's not hip hop for me. So that really put a lot of things into perspective for me. Also, them just being real with me, feel me? Like there were times where I felt like, yo, why ain't y'all playing my music at these events? Because there'd be like a few other artists who'd be getting their music played, whatever. And they would be like, bro, I don't think the music makes sense. I don't think the music's ready. And that definitely put a chip on my shoulder to be like, yo, who tells me what's ready, who's not ready? But at the same time, it was like, yo, like they were real with me. Like there was like having yes men in your corner is the worst thing you could have. Like, and I don't have very many yes men in my corner to begin with. Like I really don't. I really feel uncomfortable if you're too like if you're always saying someone's fire, like you have no criticism. That's it. But with them, they are just like they love me so. They love me like my mother almost. Like they are so real with me. They hold me accountable, and I feel comfortable holding them accountable for anything. Like it's that, and like Cam and Steph are so emotionally intelligent. And that's such a rare thing to find. Like, exceptionally emotionally intelligent to the point where, like, there's never been a moment I've been afraid to come to them about something. Going back to the performance, it's always just been important. It's like they're a run and gun. They basically do guerrilla community work when it comes to setting up these events. Like, just go. Yeah. So, like, the performance, but also just, like, the work ethic really, really, like, is inspiring.
Dude, yeah. I mean, I've had nothing but good things to say about them since I met them, and like I felt like you said, you go off of energy. I'm the same way, and I definitely feel like they're really building something truly special, but it's makes it even better when you know that the people that are creating that special thing, that they are just special people, right? Like they're good, wholesome people. Like that really means a lot more than just somebody that, you know,
just tapped it.
Yeah, exactly. So I that grassroots sort of thing, and I think that's like something when we were chatting at that at Friend Street, like we also connected on that. Like you and I connected on different things, and I connected on with Cam and Steph on that. I think the grassroots thing, we both connected on that a little bit, like being sort of outside the music scene and kind of coming into it and figuring out how we could like help give people platforms or give people like opportunities and different things like that. Exactly. Yeah. And so they've certainly done that. Well, big shout out to Cam and Steph, for real. Like they've just, like I said, I can't say enough good things about those guys. And if you haven't never been to a Master of the Chamber event, once they start season 2, make sure you get over there. I had a Grand Master of the Chamber was unbelievable. One of the best events I've been to in Boston in quite some time.
You couldn't write a movie script better than that.
It was so seriously, like, right,
bro? It was some Naruto. I tweeted this out. It was some Naruto shit, bro.
And unreal. Big shout out to Sanye too. Oh my god, yeah, he's another guy we got to get on pretty soon. We already talked about that. Shout out Sanye. Yeah, everybody that performed that night. Seriously, like, you know, everybody was, I think, really did their thing. But yeah, Sanye brought it, man.
Bro, incredible.
It was like anything I've ever seen. Nice. It was you're absolutely right. You could not have written a better movie script.
His last I forget the song, but like
his last performance.
Yeah, him and Bro was like Shaq and Kobe on the fucking platform.
Bro, that was stop it. The way they were playing off each other. forget
Incredible.
it. Boom bap beat, like just
that's
classic
hip hop.
hip-hop.
That's hip hop.
That was hip hop. Yeah, it really was. It was on like some Wu-Tang shit.
No, literally,
it really,
bro.
it straight up was, man. It was crazy. Anyway, this is one of the second to last segment. These last two would be a lot quicker. But this is a new segment I wanted to try to bring in. I'm kind of a little bit inspired by the Say That guys who actually record right over there. So big shout out to Pete and Mike. But this is on my own brand. This is pass or fail.
Pass or fail.
Okay.
Okay.
I have 5 just things or statements or entities, whatever you want to call it, or ideas. And you're going to tell me if you think that what I mention is a pass, so it's like something good thing, or if it was a fail.
Got you.
Does that make sense? All right.
Do it.
So we'll start with Drake's new album, For All the Dogs. Pass or fail?
It's a pass.
It's a pass.
Pass.
I don't think it's a perfect album by any stretch,
No.
but at least the front half, totally a pass. I think.
From fucking, what was it? Like the first like 6 songs, the playthrough, I was like, is this the best Drake album I've listened to in like 5 years?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What is it with Drake having, maybe this is just me, I think his intros are some of the best in the game. Like, he is so good at amazing intros.
Absolutely.
It blows my mind how every album has a really, really good intro. Like, find me a Drake album that doesn't have a good intro.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
They all have good. They might
Legend,
not,
Tuscan, even on like
Tuscan
that.
fucking
That's
leather, dude.
incredible.
Tuscan fucking leather. That song is
Incredible.
so good. Even keep the family close. Like, that's like a minimalistic beat, but that
song is crazy.
It's
bro.
crazy. No one talks about it.
No,
they
that
never
song is
talk
crazy.
about it.
All of my Let's Just Be Friends are no longer my friends.
Oh,
my
bars.
god.
The bars. It's wild.
Nah, I think it's so interesting. That's like, I always look at the intros as just a signifier to me that like, yo, he really writes his raps. I understand he had a lot of allegations. Not allegations. There was ghostwriting. He had some ghostwriters. Yeah. A lot of rappers have ghostwriters.
Or like skeptics. People are being skeptical of his writing.
But like, there's no way this is not like when you create something like that. It's from the heart, bro.
And then first person shooter with Cole, just stop it. 8 a.m. in Charlotte, I'm with you. It's not a perfect album. It's not my favorite of the year by any stretch. Not my favorite Drake album by any stretch. But I would say overall it's a pass. All right. Next 2 I find interesting because one's like, Texas and the one's up here.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Are you a Spurs fan? Do you like the Spurs?
Fuck yeah, shout out Spurs Nation.
Victor Wembanyama getting the Spurs to the playoffs this year. Is that going to be a pass or a fail?
Fuck, pass, bro. Because even last night,
looks good.
What was it? Is it Kevin or Devin Vassell?
Devin Vassell's nice.
Bro.
When they gave him that contract, I was a little bit like, is he that good?
Yeah.
He's that good.
18 points in the first half last night.
He's nice.
Yo.
And then even the opening game against the Mavericks, he had like 13 points in like the first quarter.
Yeah.
He's kind of a bucket.
No, even without Wembanyama, the Spurs are dogs. You got Skullhand. Like, bro, last night I literally watched like a second-year player rip the ball out of Kevin Durant's hand, go up for a bucket. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Pass it and still fucking make it. Like, full contact. And they beat the Spurs. They was down like 20 points, bro.
And they still beat the Suns.
Who
are like, everyone's saying is, they're coming out of the West,
greatest offense ever created.
Yeah. Well, they better this year because I think after this year, like the Spurs, I think the Spurs are going to make the playoffs next year. I think they're a play-in team. I think they're going to be like a 500-ish, which is a lot coming back from what they did last year. And I'm trying to taper my expectations a little bit on Wembanyama, but I mean, I know the conversation right now is Jokic or Giannis, but in 3 to 5 years, I don't think that's going to be a conversation. I think it's going to be this kid. He is special, man. I mean, good Lord.
It's dunking from the free throw line, bro.
It's insane. That putback he had last night for them to pretty much like tie the game, and then someone stole it to win it. I can't remember who exactly it was, but just crazy. Crazy.
It's crazy. You could just have a team of just shooters miss, and he's just right there. Like I didn't like.
He's gifted.
When homie shot and bricked the fuck out of it, I was cooling because Wemby was right there. I'll say pass for the play-in because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. So maybe a fail for the playoffs, but pass for the play-in.
Okay, I'm right there with you.
Right.
I think at this point, the way they look now, if they don't at least get into the play-in, I think that would be a bit of a disappointment.
Absolutely.
So because I think they're a lot better than people think.
Absolutely.
For sure. I'm not just saying that because you're here. I'm genuinely been feeling that way.
Yo, shout out Spurs. Shout out Greg Pop.
Now back to the Northeast. Celtics winning the title this year.
Fuck. Fuck.
Pass or fail?
The thing is, like, I love the Celtics. There's so many times I just can't, like, on paper, it's a pass. We have, like, not the greatest. We have the best starting six. Like, we have the best 6-man rotation in the league.
I agree.
After that 6-man, it falls off.
One guy gets hurt, they're screwed.
Exactly. Like, we have one missing starter. It's wraps.
Yeah, they don't have the depth. In the playoffs, if everyone's healthy, I'm not worried about it. But it's getting there. Agreed. If you're asking me right now in this moment, I want to say pass so bad. My heart wants to say pass so bad, but my head is telling me they're not going to get it done.
I don't think so.
Because they just never quite get it done. They get close and they just don't get there with this group. I think they're maybe a year away. They got to get another piece that's like, okay, you have the seven solid guys, because I don't think Pritchard is that 7th guy. I just don't see it.
I don't know if Pritchard wants. Shout out Payne Pritchard. I really love his.
He's kind of nice. He's kind of been fun.
He's incredible to watch play. I don't know if he wants to. I know he doesn't want to be in Boston, so I don't know if he's going to give us his all. But
he just re-signed. He did 4 years. So we'll see how it goes.
I will say for my full judgment, I'm gonna wait till like midway through the season, because I want to see if Porzingis can stay healthy.
That's the big thing.
If Porzingis is getting 20 and 14 every night, even if we lose one man in the rotation, I don't see how we lose.
If they're healthy, I'm pass all day.
All day.
But I'm leaving a little bit of contingency for if one of those, like you said, one of those 6 guys goes down, even if it's Horford. I don't know if they're going to have the depth to do it. Yeah, especially when you got to go through Giannis and potentially Jokic or LeBron and AD, whoever.
Not even touching the West yet.
Not even touching the West yet. Right, exactly. You got to get through Embiid and Giannis before you even.
Embiid, we're not worried about Philly.
And the Heat. No, I'm not worried about Philly either. But like I'm saying, from that front line perspective, you lose Porzingis or Horford, like you're thin.
That's true.
You know what I mean? That's all. That's all. But we'll see what happens.
Excited to see.
I'm not sure if you saw this. If you didn't. You have your phone there. Maybe you can check it out real quick. So I don't know if you saw this. So Tom Brady and this other, he's originally on Master Chef. He's a Rhode Island guy's name is Nick DiGiovanni, I believe is how you pronounce it. I saw this thing the other day, and I think because you're such a coffee guy and Air Force Ones guy, they took a pair of Air Force Ones and they dipped them in coffee, and like they're literally just like coffee stained Air Force Ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it or not, but just if you haven't, maybe use your imagination. You think it would be a pass or a fail, like that type of idea to coffee stained shoes.
The Tom Brady ones, it's a fail because folks have been doing that for a really long time.
Really? Okay.
The coffee Air Force One, it's a pass in my opinion, because I always love just like there's like the 3% rule, just like take something that Virgil was doing, like take something and make it 3% different. Tomo was talking about it on the Bad for the Community podcast.
Got you.
Shout out Bad for the Community.
Yep. Shout out to the Bad Community guys. Bad for the Community guys. Excuse me, I'm stuttering.
Pod boys. But it kind of falls in that, like just making something slightly different.
Okay.
And to me, that's cool as hell. I also think it works. Feel me? I think the coffee stain on the white.
I thought it was kind of cool.
I think it's cool.
I had just never. Or maybe people have been doing it for a while, because I had never seen it done before. I'm not a big shoes or coffee guy, as we said. So it's like maybe that's just not in my wheelhouse. But I happened to follow them both on Instagram, and then I saw the collaboration. Saw them, like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
I do have a bias against Brady, so that's also why.
Fair enough.
You could have been like Lamar Jackson did that. I'd be like, coolest shit in the world ever. No one's ever done that before.
It's a Brady thing. All right, so we're just gonna go coffee stage shoes. I was only bringing it up because that's where I saw it.
I understand. Boston. Yeah.
If you had to run a marathon tomorrow, like I guess I know you're a runner, but let's say like you have to run it tomorrow, are you passing or are you failing?
Honestly, I'm failing because I ran this morning. I ran for like 3 miles this morning, and I've been dealing with a back injury, so I will give myself
that's right.
a little
We
bit
did
of
talk about give yourself some grace there.
I
appreciate the honesty though.
You know,
I'm
gonna be real, because even without the back injury, I don't know if that's a pass. Maybe maybe I will say I went for my run this morning and I could feel the frontal in my lungs.
Okay.
So if I'm actively running, I don't really feel it, but I was definitely like.
One of those.
Yeah, definitely a hard run.
Maybe we'll ask you in a month or two, and maybe that'll be a pass.
Yeah,
but
fingers crossed.
Exactly. I appreciate the honesty, though. And there's pass fail, our first ever edition.
That was great.
I think we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep that segment.
Absolutely,
I liked
absolutely.
it. Dom, what an episode, man. What a journey. I've just appreciated. I mean, we've had some laughs. We've had some really deep conversations. I think it's about exactly as I thought it was going to go, truthfully. Shout out to a lot of great people in the scene. So, I mean, you're a light, man. You're doing amazing things. I know you feel like you got a little bit of ways to go, but I I appreciate your humbleness, your humility. You're a very grounded individual, and keep going, man. I think the sky's the limit for you, and I'm excited to continue to watch your journey. I'm really glad we were able to connect and meet, and then do this. So this has been great. The final segment of the show is the open response, and in the open response, we do the dream song scenario.
Ooh.
So I'll structure it for you. You get 1 to 2 producers and 3 guest features. It's your song. Okay, but you can have any artists in the world, dead or alive.
Oh,
okay. 1 to 2 producers, 3 guest artists. Who would be on Dom Dior's dream song scenario?
Before I say that, I do want to say, appreciate you for saying those words, bro. Likewise, definitely wild guys. I think there's a lot of pillars in this community, and like I definitely feel like you're showing yourself as one of those.
Thank you so much.
Very excited
that means a lot.
to see the growth, of course. I'm very excited to see the growth of this pod and yourself.
Thank you so much.
Of course. When it comes to the dream, oh man, can I give 2 answers? Can I give my like auto tune answer and then my boom bap answer?
Why not? Go ahead.
Let's do it. Make an exception. You're a teacher. You can make an exception.
I'll make exception. Certain students, right? I mean, if anybody's seeing this, don't come on here and just all of a sudden be like, "Oh, well, Dom Dior got it." You know what I mean?
I'm special. Okay, I'm special. All right, I asked.
All right, go ahead. Have your 2 versions. I'm fine with it.
Hell yeah. When it comes to boom bap, I would say I want either DJ Premier or DJ Premier.
Okay.
Fuck. It's just I'm trying to think. I almost want like a Doom.
Okay.
DJ Premier and Doom. Oh fuck. Actually, sorry. Premier. I love DJ Premier. I want Madlib and Doom.
Okay.
I want Kendrick. I want Meek Mill on that too.
Okay.
I want Meek Mill on that shit.
Interesting.
And then I want dang. This is such a good question. And I should have thought about this because I knew this question was coming too.
He did his homework too. I like it.
Real recognized, man. I'm a fan. I'm gonna come back to the boom bap. I'm gonna do the auto tune one. So auto tune, I definitely want Metro Boomin, and I want I don't know how this would mix. I want Timbaland.
Okay.
I want Timbaland, Metro Boomin.
They could do something. They'll figure it out.
They're geniuses in their own right.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they'll figure it
out.
out. Yeah.
I definitely want Travis Scott on there.
Mm-hmm.
I want. Damn. I'll be thinking about this all the time until it's actually time to say it out.
Yeah. I threw you on the spot here.
Facts. Travis Scott. Flea.
Okay.
I think let me double check. I'm pretty sure that's his name. Because he did a song. Yeah, Flea. Because I'm not gonna lie, Flea has a huge impact on my music. The song he has, the project he has with Stupid Cool is one of the greatest projects I've ever heard. Like when it comes to plug-in beats, like he had that song with Brent Faiyaz, Swish/Used To, which like basically was one of the like songs that inspired me to mess around with like the mixing of like soft singing with like grimy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like
yeah,
singing angelic about killing somebody is crazy, bro. But his sound was super influential. So I would say Travis, Flea, and honestly, just because I've been listening to him a bunch, I want D Sav.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm gonna take shout out Timbaland. I'm gonna take him out. I'm gonna put Pierre Bourne and Metro Boomin.
All right. Pierre Bourne's in.
Yeah, and then for the boom bap, I want Sade on the hook.
Okay. So you'd Kendrick, Sade, and Meek.
Yeah.
Huh.
Meek Mill.
I would gravitate more towards that song.
Yeah.
The boom bap one with Kendrick, Meek, and Sade, and then Doom and Madlib. But they both sound pretty great. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're gonna manifest this. We're putting this in the universe.
Uzi could also switch out for D-Sab. I think Uzi would have a lot of really fun. Yeah. But I think
gotta catch him before he retires.
Well, rappers retiring is a lie. That's propaganda. It's false information.
I know.
Oh my god.
How many rappers have retired and come back? You know, it's pretty funny.
It's Hove.
Yeah, for real. But all right, well, 2 great songs right there. I think they'd both be smash hits and chart topping at the same time. So, yeah, we're putting it out in the universe. Try to make it happen. Dom Dior, thank you so much for being here, bro. What an episode! I really appreciated this.
You.
All that's left to do now is plug away. So where can the people find you, and anyone else you want to shout out, or anything else you want to say sort of in the closing credits? Go for it.
Oh yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Kobk Dior. You can find me on Instagram at dior.dom. Apple Music, Dom Dior. Spotify, Dom Dior. You can find me in my city. Shout out Thrill. Shout out Kobk. Shout out Backfit Community. Shout out Netch. Shout out Netch. She took those cover up photos. The last 3 that I dropped. Incredible artist. Shout out all the models. I'm talking about Camille, Hanan, Shondell, Sam, TT, Shaylin. Shout out Z. Shout out Walter the Balter. Like just incredible people to work with. Shout out DAP for letting us work there. Oh man, I could keep going. Shout out Mike. Shout out Turntable Teachers. Shout out shout out Boston, bro. Shout out Texas. Shout out Clark D. It's my brother till the death of me. I know I'm gonna beat myself up for not saying more names, but I can't get back.
You rattled off quite a bit.
Yeah. Shout out Retro. Shout out Sabo. We love Retro. Shout out Ray Vino, DJ Ray Vino. Shout out. She did an incredible job at every gig she does, but especially at the for my event, she did an incredible job. Shout out EX Alexander. Shout out. I don't know how to spell. It's Weedjaw, Cash Nova.
Okay.
Their whole can I show my friend shit. It's so cool. Zen Studio, shout out Arc Zeus. I'm telling you, I could really go for hours, bro. Shout out Izzy, Komai Wave, one of the most incredible human beings ever. An absolute genius when it comes to music. Shout out Gib. Rob puts in work. Oh, man.
This is the longest shout out I've ever had.
Bro, I'm really a fan.
You just rattled everybody up.
Yo, shout out Vino, shout out Cuz, JR, shout out Kiz. Shout out Willow Street for real. I'm gonna end it on there though, cause I could keep going. But I'm really fans of these people for real. That's why
I can tell. That's a beautiful thing, man. When you got your peers, but you're also fans of them too. That's like the best of both worlds. It's a great support. Well,
shout out my mother. Shout out my sister.
I love that. Well, man. I don't know if I can follow that up, but if you're a fan of Dom Dior or any of the people you just mentioned, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram and TikTok. Hit up our website, www.turntableteachers.com, for all the latest blogs, podcasts, episodes, merch. You guys know the deal. And of course, if you are an artist, podcaster, or content creator, make sure you hit us up at AOA Studios and book your session or service today.
Shout out Sammy Rosario. Shout out 009. Shout out Phoenix Down Studios.
Oh, man. I'm Mike. That's Dom Dior with the Turntable Teachers. And class is officially dismissed. Turntable.